Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wendy. I would like to talk about something today. Some of you may know, my older subscribers, that at one time I suffered from sorry about the shaking, major depression at a period of time in my life. And it's been weighing heavily on my heart lately to tell my story. The weird thing about depression is it comes at times in your life when maybe you're living the best times of your life, and it steals that from you. Whenever I began to suffer from depression, I had gotten out of a 16-year relationship with my ex-husband. I had been single for 4 years. And I met my husband that I'm married to now. And Gary and I are just made for one another. We click. There's nobody on the earth for us except for each other. And we both know this. We both look forward to seeing one another when he gets off work every day still. We've been married for almost 15 years, but about, I would say 2 or 3 years into our relationship, maybe 4, the depression started to come. My children had grown and had turned into very, very good people for society. They had begun to have grandchildren. Gary and I's marriage was rolling along perfectly, as close to perfect as you could come. And my life was great. It was absolutely great. There was no reason whatsoever for this to happen to me, except that it did. It did happen to me. It started slowly. It was like a darkness seeping into my soul, I guess is the only way to describe it, because it steals a piece of your soul as it steals your life away from you. You no longer want to do everyday things like bathing, getting out of bed. You have zero energy. You have no hope that anything will ever get any better. If you hear noise behind me, it's Monk playing with his new sticks that I got him. He's banging them on his cage. Sorry about that. It steals every piece and ounce of joy that you have in your body, your mind, your spirit, and your soul. I had all of these positive things going on for me, and yet I could not get up and get a bath and get dressed and face the day. And this went on and on and on for a period of about 4 years, off and on. I didn't want to try to be any different. I had no desire to try to be any different. My poor husband stood by me through all of this and saw me through it. I guess he knew the jovial, spunky, happy girl that I had once been, and maybe he was hoping that she would show up again one day. But as I was rolling along, 4 years is a long time. I just didn't see an end to it, but I really didn't know what was going on. I honestly didn't, even though I was so knowledgeable about things of the world. Maybe depression makes you not want to face what you know is going on, that in the end you need some help from somewhere else. It makes you not want to open up to anybody, so therefore you don't seek therapy. It makes you not want to, get any better, so therefore you don't seek any kind of medical help. It just, it's horrible, horrible. And I don't know of any other way to describe it other than the way that I already have. But as time rolls along, you see your life withering away. And finally, one day, walking through the house, squalling, I cried all of the time. For no reason, I would just cry and cry. I was like a wilted flower. I would cry and cry. And my husband came in from work one day, and I was walking through the house all nasty, nappy, hair sticking up and matted, and crying, and he just had enough. I guess he couldn't take any more. And he turned around, he whirled around, and he looked at me with this look that I've never seen him look at me with before or since. A look of despair. And you don't see that coming out of my husband. He looked at me with a look of despair, and he said, "Wendy, you are the only one, just you, are the only one that can change your life from this into something else." I don't know what it was. I do not know what it was. The perfect words at the perfect time, in the perfect place, at the perfect point of my sickness. The next day, I called CED Mental Health Center here in my city. It is the only mental health center that treats for the southeastern part of the state of Alabama. As far as I know, back then there were only 4 treatment centers, 4 state-funded treatment centers for people like me, which I think was pitiful. But, I just couldn't worry about that. I started thinking these things later on. But anyway, so I called them, and I told them what I was going through. I had taken a lot of NA classes through that facility whenever I got off of drugs. I had attended NA and had a narcotics counselor through CED Mental Health, so I already had a file there. I think that's what made it so easy for me to get in, is I already had a file there. I didn't have to wait, any time except for from the time I called till my appointment day. And so I go in, and I have to fill out all of these papers. I don't want to fill out papers. I pushed myself. All I could see was my husband's eyes and that look. So I pushed myself through it. And I met my therapist. And over the next, I think it was 6 months that I saw her before she moved to Birmingham to counsel to problem teenage children. I saw her once a month for 6 months. Therapy helped a little, but it really didn't help that much. It helped me to see that I wanted to be myself again. I didn't want to be anything different than I ever was. I wanted to be myself again, the person that I had known for my whole life before this happened to me. And as I was seeing her on the side, we were going through medications through the psychiatrist. we were going through medications, and they would try this one. It would make me lethargic. I couldn't function. We would, try this one. It'd be too strong. I don't remember the names of these drugs, or I would tell them to you and how they affected me. But they had long names, and I just really don't know. Most of them made me feel like a zombie. Yes, it shut down the depression, but it shut down everything. So I was just unfunctional anyway because of the drugs. So one day they decided to try something a little bit milder, and they put me on it, and we saw a little change. It was Cymbalta, a very, very common antidepressant. Usually not prescribed for that strong of a depression, but they said, hey, we've tried all of the stronger stuff. Let's try something a little milder. So they put me on that, and we saw a little bit of a change. I felt a little bit of a change. So the next time I went in, they capped it off with Abilify. Abilify is prescribed for bipolar people most of the time. When it first came out, it came out as an additive to your antidepressant, and that's the reason why they added it to mine. But now, most of the time, you just get prescribed it because of being bipolar, and hello, I am. But that's a story all of its own. But anyway, they capped my Cymbalta off with Abilify. Slowly, I started coming out of this deep, dark place I was in. And, I was still a Christian. I would pray, and there was no light in my life no matter what I did. And I started coming out of this darkness slowly but surely, day by day by day. I got a little stronger. And so they, I think they increased the Abilify because they didn't want me to get used to it, and all of this good stuff stopped. So after about 6 to 12 months on the medication, I came back. I'm still grateful to this day. I get so scared sometimes. If when I get up, I don't want to get cleaned up. Sorry. I get so scared that maybe it's coming back. It is it's a very difficult place to be. And if you let it can take years away from your life. I missed, things that I could never get back. I missed the birth of my 2 oldest grandchildren. And I missed time with my incredible, loving husband. But I am myself now, and I am so thankful. And to this day, I still take my medication, and every once in a while, when I'll get to feeling really, really, really good, I'll think, well, I'm well, I don't need it anymore. That is a huge mistake to think that just because you are doing well, that you don't need the thing that made you well anymore. Now, I have never stopped my medication, but I have slacked back on it and saw the tentacles of darkness coming again, and I would, freak out and start taking my medication regularly again. I have been on it now for years. I don't know how many, but I have been on it for years, and I will continue to stay on it because it was the only thing that saved my soul. I was sinking down into a dark place so deep that nothing would be able to reach me. I was even so scared that I would one day harm myself. It was so black and dark. And now I have so much light in my life. And once they got my mind straightened out, my willpower came back full force. That's one of the reasons that I get up every day and I dress to the 90s, because it's one of the ways that I stay well. I don't know how to explain it to you. It might sound just insane, but it's one of the reasons that I get up out of the bed every morning and I get a bath and I get dressed. Even if I'm not going anywhere that day, I get dressed to feel good about myself. Maybe, just maybe it's because I would go up to 3 weeks without taking a bath. I don't know. I was just messed up. I was truly messed up for a long time, and I just wanted to come on here and share my story with y'all, hoping that it might help somebody to see that you have to push yourself. Somehow or another, through all that blackness, you have to find a little bit of willpower to make a change. Small steps. Just remember small steps. You have to take those small steps. You can't do it in one big jump. It doesn't happen that way. It does not happen that way. I'm just glad to be me again. I have joy, and yeah, I'm just glad to be me again. So if you're suffering from depression, don't let it steal your life from you. Don't let it. Everybody be safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you again soon in my next video. Bye bye, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.